Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Snowfall Season 5, Episode 8, titled Celebration. I'll be honest with everybody. When this ceremony started and we were at Louie and Jerome's wedding, I was just like, hey, I'm having a good time. I was down for it all. And then, like, 5 minutes later, I was like, I don't want to be at this wedding anymore.
Don't ever invite Scully to your wedding. I understand why they did, but oh my god. This is not how I thought it was going to go. I truly thought that there was going to be bloodshed, that this was going to be the next Game of Thrones red wedding. It was not any of those things, and it ended up actually being one of the best episodes they've ever had.
There's so much good stuff to talk about here, but before we get really headfirst into all of it, hit that subscribe button because we are very, very close to that big 60,000 subscriber milestone. Thank you guys for your support, for hitting that button over time. It still blows my mind that there are that many people out there interested in what we have to say.
Yeah, we are very appreciative of that, and we're really excited to be creeping up on this 60,000 subscriber. I can't even believe it as I'm saying it. It is mind-blowing, but yeah, we're going to be here still every week, every Wednesday, covering Snowfall. We've got Better Call Saul coming up this month. I mean, there's Power still. We've got Blacklist, This Is Us, final season, Killing Eve this weekend. We're covering a lot of stuff here.
Okay.
All right, I just want to say that this is the episode where Damson should be getting his Emmy. This is where it's time to give him his flowers. It really was the gamut of everything for him. And on this show, we always see a very serious side to him. If you've ever watched any of his interviews, this guy's hilarious. They are the absolute most entertaining thing you will ever see. He is so funny. I just watched an interview with him the other day through GQ where he was hugging and kissing his PlayStation and calling it his wife. He's so funny, and I was so happy that in this episode we got to see the whole gamut of emotions for him, including comedy, because that minute that he was just like, I have to go to the bathroom, and ran full speed into the house, I just about fell off my chair.
Franklin was tripping in this episode. I think we can say that to like the millionth degree. Damson was awesome. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Like,
10 out of 10. He was so good. Drive the truck of Emmys up to his house. Just, it's done.
Funny, heartbreaking, like anything and everything in between. And I so much of it. And this is one of those things, you know, where given the world that Snowfall is in, this probably should have been more predictable to me than ultimately it was. Where as we started, it's like, that's not really how Franklin would act in this situation. Like, what's going? That's like, oh, that's what's going on. They were all laced with a little something, something, and now this is a very different sort of wedding ceremony.
No, I knew that it was going in this direction the minute that Scully was kind of like, hey, chocolate fountain, eh? Yeah, I'm going to be putting all these strawberries in it. Oh, you're going to be giving them to everyone? Yeah, I'm going to be giving them to everyone. Cool, can you get me a bottle of water? I was like, oh no. I just didn't know where it was going to go because Scully is this just beautifully unpredictable guy.
By the way, I know we've already given the truck of Emmys to Damson, but can we give an honorable mention to Scully?
He's so good.
I've always loved Scully, but there was just something in this ceremony. First and foremost, what you said, why is he at the wedding in the first place? And then beyond all of that, just his demeanor just so caught me off guard. His dialogue, all of it was just sort of like, where's this Scully been? It's like, oh, this is why this is this Scully. I guess we're not going to see this version of Scully ever again.
No, and what was so, like, just great about it is that he felt like he was getting a gift. That it was just like it wasn't necessarily to, like, try to ruin the wedding, where he was kind of like, yeah, you know what? We've all been through it with each other. We've gone on a long road. We are on the other side of this hill now. You're welcome. I'm just like, oh, dude. Oh, my goodness. It was so well put together.
It's like what makes this episode so interesting is that I think when you sort of chart out a lot of the big plot moments, and there were a couple in this episode, don't get me wrong, but it also felt like the writers really took their time in here and actually like gave some people an opportunity to breathe a little bit. And, for people like a Louis, like a Jerome, like a Leon, of course, like a Franklin, it's always been so go, 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 go. And it was such a just fun change of pace. And that's where, pre-lacing, that's where you were able to have those moments where it actually seemed like this wedding was a really good time.
Yeah, it was a really good time. It was a beautiful ceremony. And I mean, at first I was like, man, I was really waiting to hear that exchange of vows with these two, because for me, I'm such a sucker for love. I love love, and I love these two. If you've been here a while, you know how much I just ship these guys. And so I was like, oh man, to actually get to hear them exchange their vows, I want it, I'm here for it, I'm living for it. And then we didn't really get that part, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I still got this, and it was good. And then later, oh my goodness. So there, of course, everybody has, been laced with a little something, something. That scene with the two of them where they are talking over each other about their insecurities, about their relationship, but about their love and about how they've been able to overcome it and where they are and why they love each other so much. I just died.
It was so remarkably wholesome. Like, that's the weirdest word for it. I don't think you would ever use the word wholesome and Snowfall in the same sentence.
It was wholesome. It was romantic. It was honest. It was heartfelt. It was everything I could possibly want in a vow exchange. And the fact that it was actually a little bit later and it was private made it even more special. I just love the way they did it.
I think honest is a really great way to talk about just this episode as a whole, even in the subconscious, because I think Franklin was honest with himself in this episode in a way he hasn't been in a long time. Like, I loved how he sort of had different elements of his past and present confronting him to sort of understand better who he is and what he's done. This was the perfect way to bring Rob back from the grave. I never needed to see that character again, and now I'm kind of glad we did.
No, this was definitely Franklin facing himself and the choices that he's been making with people that he cares about, that he's always sort of having this idea around him that he's doing this to help. He's trying to help his family. He's trying to help the community. That, while he's doing something that's bad, there's a good on the other side of it. And everybody's thankful for everything he's doing. And he's kind of tried to keep that in mind. And I think he does that because if he really sits down and thinks about what he's doing, he's going to have a guilty conscience about a lot of it. And he is going to question, why am I really doing this to help people? Is this really the right thing to do? Especially when you have characters like Wanda, who has kept this show extremely honest. Every time they had run into Wanda, they would see the physical effects of what they're doing to their community, to people that they love, and how that has affected them and their actions. So that last scene with him confronting himself, the younger version of himself when he first sort of started, was kind of like, you think you're doing this to help people? You know who else said that they were doing this to help people? Your father. Alton also did this, where it was really about control, because everything was all good as long as you were rolling along with what he said. But the minute you weren't, he was going to hand you the bus schedule and drive it over you. And you are doing the same thing. And we had seen him, with his mom, with Rob, with V, that all these sort of things are true that he's saying to himself.
He really needed to have sort of this, metaphorical come to Jesus moment, and he had it through all these different sort of at times serious, at times heartbreaking moments with himself, with other people, I think, in his life. And I think it was a value of perspective. And I think there's a lot of people out there who I want to draw this sort of parallel between Walter White and Franklin Saint. And, I get it. Both of them have been sort of drug kingpins. But I think this episode reminds us that Franklin is not Walter White. And that is a really good thing, because Walter White just ended up doing what he did because, as he said, he liked it. He liked the power. He liked being able to sort of enforce things. And I think Franklin, on some level, he obviously does like what he does, and he likes the money, but I think he is still much more of a human, I think, than Walter White was at the end of Breaking Bad.
No, I absolutely agree. I don't think that besides both of them being, drug kingpins, they're not the same. No. I mean, Franklin, even before this episode, you can see how much this does weigh on him. The decisions he makes, like everything that happened with Rob, that weighed on him after that. Everything that happened with like Kevin and what Leon went through and stuff with Wanda. I mean, like it has weighed on him. He does care about what's happening around him and the people he loves and how it's affecting, his mom and like everything that has happened.
I think the problem here, unfortunately, and this is sad that he faces now, is that he's so far in the weeds with all of this at this point. And even though he can have sort of this bright light shining upon him, telling him to do something different, like he goes to Louie and he has this conversation, and he's just like, Louie, I'm sorry I didn't bring you in, but we can still do this. And she's just like, no, we can't. And it's just, the ship has sailed, and it's so sad.
Yeah, and these are the consequences of his actions. And it's great that he's gotten to this point, but she is no longer at this point. She was at this point, a couple seasons ago. She was already ready to change things, and he just didn't get there at the same time. And a lot of it is about timing, and now he is going to end up being stuck with the consequences, even if he does decide to move forward in a different way and do things in a different way. It doesn't make a difference for what's going on with Louie. And we only have one season left, guys. Ugh. This has been renewed for season 6, but it is the final season.
They're gonna kill somebody off at the end of this season.
My goodness. As long as it's not Wanda. I also have to give her flowers. When I saw what was going on, and I was like, oh noes, Wanda.
Yeah.
Wanda, please don't let Wanda have any of these chocolate-covered strawberries, please. And by the end, when she was just like, oh no, I'm allergic to chocolate, I'm fine. I'm like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. But also just to see her going around like, hey, are you okay? Hey, are you okay? Hey, can I help you? It was just nice to see that come full circle, because I root for her so hard, and I just I want that story to be there, because while we've seen many stories of people who have battled their addictions and haven't been able to get past it or have fallen back into it, it's nice to have a story finally for the people who, do have people in their lives that have battled addiction and did get to the other side of it and continue to be sober, because those stories are out there too.
I am hopeful that Wanda's gonna survive. Like, I feel it in my heart. Maybe I'm just delusional, but
they're gonna break my heart. I know it. This is Snowfall. It's gonna happen.
She's just the heart of she's the heartbeat of the show for me, and I think we need her as a reflection. I don't want what I'm worried about either, but I'm really worried about Louie or Jerome, and that they gave them the really big happy wedding. And I mean, I know there's other stuff going on here, but they still had the wedding.
They did, but at the end of the episode, we saw that cop at Kane. It's all going to be really bad. And speaking of really bad, while we had Franklin tripping out and doing all these things, pulling invisible guns, which was also pretty funny, we also had him make a very real phone call to Teddy to basically tell him that he knows that it's eventually going to come down to either he's going to die or Franklin's going to die, and he's not going to be the one to go. He is going to kill Teddy. Oh, God.
This is the final season right here. I thought it was going to be Franklin and Teddy in season 5. But Teddy's going to store this information away. He's going to be prepared for anything when it comes to Franklin moving forward. He's already had some conversations clearly with Louie, so he's already starting to explore his other avenues.
Yeah, we know that Louie has gone to Teddy to be like, I don't want to go through Franklin anymore. I don't want to go through Colombians anymore. I just want to go through you. Can we make this happen? Does Franklin know? No, he doesn't. I'll tell him after the wedding, kind of thing. It's like, oh, okay. So he said yes to that. Then Franklin is threatening to kill him. And then we saw Teddy at Franklin's house taking pictures of all his documents. So things are just not going great.
No, they are going to continue to build in a very bad way. And Teddy, I have some advice I want to give you, 15 minutes into this video. If you're doing a stakeout, don't have Parissa at the This was a terrible idea. I do not need to go into further details as to why, but let's just say she was distracted. You cannot have a distracted person at a stakeout.
Yeah, she's trying to get a date.
She's really, really thirsty. She needs she needs a little bit of Scully's water, but I'm gonna say no.
No. She's thirsty.
Yeah, way
She
too
really
much.
needs to stay away from those chocolate covered strawberries.
Oh no. I don't really understand a Parissa character. It's all just so unbelievably weird.
No, it is strange. And right now it's extra strange because there's no real role for her except to be thirsty over Teddy.
Yeah, and also, it's Teddy. Like, Teddy? That's who you're going to be thirsty over?
No.
He's such a mess. And this, I do think that's kind of what makes Teddy compelling at this point in the show, though, is that he's so unbelievably dangerous, but at the same time, he is just, like, so vulnerable in so many different ways. He's got, like, this completely out-of-her-mind person and Parissa looking after him. He seems to have no grasp on reality.
I'm also curious to see how many of these realizations that happened when everyone was tripping out are going to then come into life as well. I mean, we didn't see any revelations for Gustavo, who was just rolling down a hill laughing, but we did for Leon, who was kind of like, I think I want to travel. And we had that moment where he asked Wanda to come with him, but she was sober and was like, we'll talk about this another time. I got to go check on some other people. But this might be something that sticks with him. And I mean, that's fine if it's at the end of season 6 and not now.
I feel bad for Leon. And I've felt bad for Leon at least 5 times this season already. But I think he's clearly searching for something that is not there in front of him, whether it's a way to help his community, a way to feel like he's not continuing to be a part of this. And I think at this point, even if he's not of his, typical same mind, there's a part of him that's just like, okay, maybe I just need to leave the situation. Maybe, me getting a different perspective can contribute in some other way.
Yeah, I think that conversation with Javi may actually really sit with him where, he wasn't really open to reading or learning about anything else. And Javi's kind of like, well, how can you formulate your own ideas if you keep blinders on and you only look at part of the situation? You need to know what everybody thinks about it so that then you can formulate your own opinions on it and then put some travel on top of that. I'm just wondering where we're going to end up with Leon. Is he going to end up sort of being like one of the great thinkers of this time?
Be really cool if he is. Like, I would love to see Leon.
He's a very smart guy, and I mean, if he's open to this, then this is somewhere that he could be going.
Here's what I'm worried about. Leon's going to go to Franklin and be like, listen, Franklin, I want to get out of here. I want to do this, that, and the other thing. And Franklin is just going to be like, no. And it's going to be a very tenuous sort of situation where, is Leon really going to be able to leave? Can Franklin really stop him? I'm also very worried about Leon at the end of this season.
Yeah, no, I'm more worried that he's going to be dead because of what Louis is doing. Leon's the person who actually sat down with Kane and made this deal with him. And was like, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to make it right. Kane said, all right, that's cool. And that's the way that it's going to be. And it seems like it is going to be okay until Louis is doing this. Because we even saw this very weird scene that I really had a hard time buying into, which was V going to Kane to sit down with him and be like, hey, do I really need to worry about you? Is this really over? And at that point, I was just like, why would he tell you? If he's not done with hurting Franklin, of course he's going to tell you, like, yeah, everything's A-okay. Go back home to your apartment where I know where you are. I was just like, no, this didn't work.
It just didn't need to be there. I think everything we knew from that scene, we learned already. And I would have just... Give me 2 more minutes of tripped out Franklin doing weird stuff at the ceremony.
Or Gustavo rolling down a hill.
Gustavo is the number 1 character on this show when it comes to just doing stuff without even saying anything. And I just find it entertaining. Like, for some reason, this reminded me a lot.
He is really funny.
It's reminded me a lot, I don't know why, of like the luchador moment from the past at the birthday party. Like, Gustavo is underrated. I'm just saying that. I think this episode, though, is not going to be underrated. I think it's going to be properly rated as one of the best that Snowfall has had to offer.
And and I really hope that they submit this to the Emmys. This is the episode.
There are only a couple of episodes left this season, and now it's just like, okay, things are already starting to snowball, and it's about to become an avalanche, so we gotta prepare ourselves.
No, everything is gonna go badly with this Kane thing. It's not great.
All right, well, of course, hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss any other reviews we have coming of this crazy season. Follow us on Instagram as well at MadandJustTV, and we'll see you here next time.